Humor me for a moment, would you, folks? Ray Driscoll, would you like to play a game? The sins of your father have led you down the path that you are in now. We have eyes on all of your friends. You must choose which one lives or dies. The choice is yours. And then you play the Saw theme music, because that's what the hell just happened. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. The penultimate episode of Dope Thief is here. It is called Mussolini, I believe. This is one of those episodes that does two things at one time. It is a really good and dramatic piece of television. It is also utterly ridiculous and unfathomable, and borders on serious fiction, where you're like, oh, this was a realistic thing, and now this has become a lighthearted horror film at once. I'll get on specifically what I'm talking about. It basically happens in the last 20 minutes of the episode. I think everything up before that is really good. And I think that 20 minutes of when lights go out, we'll get there. When that happens, it's still good television. It's just none of this makes sense. So we pick up at the end of the last episode. Bart is dead. And it seems like not many people are having that much of a ramifications of Bart. He's just dead. We don't really care who did it. We're assuming it's the bikers. We don't know who did it, but it also seems like this story doesn't want us to give a damn about it. So he's gone. We pick up with Teresa, who finds the book that Ray wrote in about where the money is. She finds it. She sort of keeps it to herself and is like, cool, I think I might have just hit the lotto. She then goes out with her dog for a walk, and kind of is like, well, it's just the two of us standing, which is funny that out of all the people that have sort of associated in Ray's circle, they are the last two that are kind of unscathed. But the dog goes to poop. While that is happening, bikers start surrounding her. And what we soon see is that the DEA is using Teresa as a piece of cheese and a mousetrap to sort of get a lot of those bikers off the streets. And so the DEA collapsed in and arrest those folks. And I'm going to say this as I continue on, as I'm thinking about it. I feel like that was a setup to get a lot of those bikers in prison with both Manny and Ray. I think whoever is pulling the strings is a part of one of these organizations, one of the Alphabet Boys, and purposely wanted to get as many of those folks on the inside to sort of shut them down or shut one of them down, now that I'm sort of putting all of that together. Neither here nor there. We continue on. Teresa goes to go see Ray. He is locked up in prison. He is healthy. They have fixed him. They've made him better, but he is also under arrest. The cops there who are watching him keep calling him a cop killer. Obviously, they're going to feel a type of way about somebody who has put down one of their own. But he and Teresa are going back and forth, and Teresa's like, we're all we got. We're each other's family. And in a way, Ray sort of refutes that and says, no, you're just my dad's girlfriend. And Teresa feels a type of way about that. And it's a strange time to sort of bring all of that up right now, considering how tight-knit you are. And pretty much she is the only family that you have left. But Teresa brings up, like, at that time, I was your dad's girl. One of many. I was your dad's girl. I was doing my own thing on the side. But we had a thing. And I was of the life that he was a part of. When he got locked up, my job was to take care of you. You also helped me. So we help each other. We are each other's family. We got it out the mud and end up on the other side of it and are alive and better for it. So anytime you say that we're not family, that's BS. We may not be the traditional form of family, but we are, in fact, family. She also then sort of gives him a heads up that she is wearing a wire, and goes so far as to cover the wire, or muffle the wire with her fur coat and everything, and say, hey, just as a heads up, I want you to know that I found your note, and so I know where those numbers are. You just let me know when I need to go ahead and pull that trigger and act on that lotto. We then see a shot of the DEA kind of doing both. They're interrogating both Ray and Manny, side by side. Nader is watching the two of them sort of go through their interrogation. You can see that Ray is a little bit more calm and collected, giving shorter answers, a lot more stoic in his response, while Manny is being his sort of manic self, to the point where he actually asked to watch them side by side, which leads me to believe that Nader may have something going on more than this, but he's trying to pick which one of these is the weaker of the two and then sort of attack that one. And so he sort of puts his attention towards to Manny, who we've all know is the weaker of the two of them. At least we do until we get to a scene at the end, which I actually really love. Somehow, in this one episode, as much as I've hated Manny this entire run, this episode is the one that sort of turned me around on him. A little too late, if you will, but still, they did a good job of giving him a character beat that actually made me sort of care and connect to his character. Rick Staley's name gets brought up, which the only person sort of brings Rick Staley into this conversation, to the two of them, is on Manny's side. Ray didn't have much information on that. But once they hear that name, Manny stonewalls them and just says, I'm not speaking anymore. We also see that Son also got arrested. So Son's in prison, and he's talking through a FaceTime with his kids and his mom. His wife is refusing to talk to him. Odd choice to sort of just have an open line of communication on a FaceTime where everyone can sort of hear it and see it. It's a little bit different. Like, yes, your phone calls are being recorded, but it's not the inmates aren't also hearing that conversation. The FaceTime, it's a little bit more open. He's in a glass, what appears to be a soundproof room, but I just feel like Son, of all the times that he's a lot more particular and a lot more careful with how he's doing things, even though he's speaking in code, still seems a little too wide open for him to just be that sloppy right now. And then we see a shot of Mina. One of the issues that I have with this episode is that it is trying to speed up the process to get to the end, if you will. And so we start doing a lot of montages of things, of people collecting information, people collecting data. And that's Mina's the biggest one of those. We see her go from being the grief-stricken agent who's on our outside to being the person that now has I have an idea, I have a bone to pick, I have something that I can present that I think might do better than what it is that we're currently doing. And her whole idea is, look, I know we have murder charges on Ray, but I don't think he's the big bad boss of all of this. I think what we should be doing is charging him with running a drug operation. And to run a drug operation, he needs 3 or more people on a part of his team. And he has that. He has more than that. And so I want to say that Ray is single-handedly responsible for this, because I think there are people above him or tied to him that the cartel doesn't just go after nobodies. They go after people that are equal to them or are also cartels. And so Mina has figured out that the drugs that Manny and Ray were taking, while he may not have been selling them, they did move and did get reused somewhere else. And so she thinks that this is a mastermind operation. It's like, I want to get him to stay alive and put this charge on him so that he can maybe become an informant, so he can sort of get immunity, something to wash out and pull out all the other dark people that are sort of hiding in darkness while doing a lot of just dirty work. Sherry goes to visit Manny in prison and has one of those conversations between the glass. And you can see that Sherry's looking at the families down there. She's like, it's clear in her brain without saying much. We do then get the actual text of it, but you can see that in that moment, she's looking like, I don't want this to be my life. I don't want to raise a family with this. I don't want to live like this. I don't want this to be our only lines of communication as we go along. Manny clocks that she has taken off her ring, and the ring, she has pawned it so that she can get Manny a good lawyer so that he can split himself away from Ray and take a plea deal. Say, hey, this was all Ray's idea. I didn't have anything to do with this. Put this all on Ray. She's like, you now have to take care of yourself. And Manny's like, no, that's my family. And she adamantly says, no, we're your family. Now, it's important. She uses that article as opposed to I, because she's pregnant. She's with a child. And Manny's kind of like, oh, crap, I'm going to be a dad. And she's like, yes. So you need to do whatever the hell it is you need to do to get up out of there. And so then the call ends. He is escorted back to what we believe to be his cell, but in fact, he is then taken by guards. Sadly, too, right after he's smiling. This is the first time we've seen Manny smile in a moment. He has hope. There's something for him to sort of live for. He gives the guard the news. They're like, I'm going to be a dad. And he smiles, and the guard has no response to that at all. Because that guard is leading him to a cell with one of the lead bikers, the biker that just got put in at the top of this, which is what now leads me to believe that somebody wanted him on the inside to be able to shut Manny down. But they put him in that cell and have the plan is for him to end Manny. But Manny now has something to live for. He has a little bit of hope. So Manny pulls out all the stops he can. He is biting, kicking, scratching, taking plugs out of skin. Like Manny's like, nah, I'm not going out. I got a kid to raise. And so he is quite beaten up. But he comes out on the other side of that, and he is good to go. Now, we know, and he knows this, that if they made one pass to make an attempt on his life, they're going to try this again. And so he now sort of had to get his ducks in a row before that moment occurs. Michelle goes to see Ray, but strictly as a lawyer, which is why the relationship aspect of their thing just makes zero sense. But Michelle goes to see Ray, and Ray tries to show some affection towards Michelle, and Michelle poo-poos it, says no. Now, part of that is probably because she's being watched. She's on a wire. She knows that in this moment, I have to be a professional lawyer, and I cannot let on that we are together or that we have any type of relationship status, because they will sort of then remove me. I will be removed from the case. So we need to act as if we are just strictly lawyer and client. Ray clearly doesn't take too well to that. He says some disparaging remarks about her and pro bono and all that stuff, but he is not seeing the other side of why she is probably doing things the way that she is. He does let him know that there's a chance that Manny could be taking a lesser charge and pleading out and saying that this whole operation was at your hands, and that he may be becoming a cooperating witness. She says that if Manny brought Rick to you, because that's sort of the red herring, if Manny brought Rick to you, then we can flip this on him and say that he is the one that orchestrated all of this. And Ray shuts that down. Like, I'm not dropping a dime on Manny. He says, like, all I need you to do is take care of Teresa and that stupid dog. If you can get them safe, I will cop a plea to whatever it is that I will say I am responsible for, whatever it is they want to say that I'm responsible for. Just make sure that Teresa and that dog are good. The next day, he's on his way to go for his hearing. And there's a very poignant moment where Ray is being wheeled out, because he still can't quite walk, but he's being wheeled out from where he's being held to the bus that's going to transport him to his hearing. And he asks the officers out there to be like, hey, can I just have a moment? And he takes that moment to just breathe in the air, look at the sun, kind of just be one with nature, because he knows that this might be the last time that he ever gets that. And he asks for it, and the officers there grant him that. So it shows you that there are some good officers here. There are some people who are not on the take. And even though they know what his sheet says, they know that he killed a cop, they still give him that decent piece of humanity, which is just a telling piece. I know those are just bit players and probably not important cops, but it's just important to see that there are some good people in what appears to be everybody's in on whatever madness that is occurring with this cartel. We then get to see probably my favorite scene of this episode is Ray being transported. He's in the back of the transport, and Manny's sort of up front, and they air out some grievances that they have with each other. Ray tells Manny immediately, hey, I'm good. Do whatever it is that you got to do. Just go ahead and do it. And Manny's deeply offended by it. And he tells him, like, look, I can't believe you said that or think so little of me that that's how I would respond. Like, you are my family. And he goes on, and they go back and forth pretty heavy in that sequence. And it's a lot of Manny just feeling like, hey, you've never felt that I had your back the way that you think you have mine. You feel like you are the only person that takes care of me, but I also have to take care of you. Like, it's a tit for tat. And you only see it your way. Anytime we have a conversation, you immediately get mad, you blow up. You don't have deep or honest conversations or self-thought, or you don't see me. You don't see who I am. It's like, and you always just go to anger. And in this moment, Ray says, I'm not angry. I'm broken. Like, I'm just broken. I'm beat up, and you are too. Like, this is both of us. Manny goes on to say that you never thought I could stand on my own. You always thought you had to be there for me. And like, I'm doing this. I can tell you how I answer this. And Ray's like, you don't have to. It's like, he's trying to tell him, like, I have no desire ever to take that plea. And like, whatever's happening with me and Sherry, that's one thing, but we're in this together. And Ray is just not hearing it. Part of it is he's being the bleeding heart and the shield to say, hey, no, go do what it is that you want to do by pushing people away. That he's a very good pusher away of people. He's tried to do a little bit earlier with Teresa. But Manny's like, no, I'm here. Like, I don't know why you keep doing this. They clearly start having it out as if they're two brothers who are going through some things that they never had to go through before. And they're both broken and beat up, and they're at a point now where actually hearing each other, actually listening to each other is no longer an option. They hear it, they hear each other, and that's why they're yelling back and forth. But they're not actually taking the time to listen to one another. So Ray says to him, you have my blessing. If that's what you need to go ahead and do what it is that you need to do, you have my blessing. And in that moment, probably one of the hardest lines that I've heard in this entire series is like, I didn't want your blessing. I just wanted your respect. I think this entire series, we've sort of seen that there are moments where it appears like the two of them are equals, but Ray often acts as if Manny is beneath him, that he has to watch him. He's his lap dog. He's my dog. He comes with me. I'll take care of him. I do this. Manny has always felt like I've been taking care of you as well, and you just don't see me as an equal. You don't respect me. In this moment, he sort of lets that out there, and whew, that's a hard sequence. It's a hard pill to swallow. And Ray is definitely not going to accept that and swallow that now, not in the current moment. Mina illegally tries to meet up with Michelle and sort of give her the plan that she has for Ray. She's like, you need to get Ray to get on board with this. I think there's a chance that we can, if Ray can lead us to the bigger players that I think are hiding in the shadows, those murder charges that you think are just impossible to get from under, we can probably get from under. There's always a bigger fish to fry, and I think Ray is capable of giving us that information, but Nader does not want to go down that path, which keeps leading me to believe that he may have something to do with this. So then we see Manny, essentially, he calls Sherry to basically say goodbye. He says that the people who made the attempt earlier are going to circle back and make an attempt again. And this time they're probably going to succeed. And she's like, yo, let me get you out of there. I still have the lawyer on retainer. Like, we can make this happen. We can pull the trigger. And Manny's like, cool that talk right here on the phone because people are listening. She's like, I don't care if people are listening. If you're about to say that you're about to die, people can hear me. I don't care. We need to get you up out of there. Manny shuts all that down. And he says, I need you to go to the storage locker. I need you to go get what's in there, buy yourself a dress, and then go ahead and use the rest of that money to raise our beautiful baby. And he says, I'm sorry. So then after his call, Manny is escorted to his room. And on his way there, he's given something in foil from another inmate who he had spoken to with another person earlier. They hand him paraphernalia in foil. And he gets to a cell. He thinks that cell is going to lead to someone trying to beat the crap out of him again. But he gets in there and he's like, oh, the cell is empty. No one is there to attack. We then see sort of a side-by-side sequence of Ray and the power going out, and then Manny in his cell. I'm going to stick with the Manny piece first before we get to the Ray piece, because the Ray piece feels like it's in a completely different genre of show. Manny opens up the foil. We don't see what it is initially, but then we come to find out that Manny takes a drug overdose. Now, it is not clear if that is him taking an overdose or if somebody gave him his fix and they laced it. At this point, we don't know. But either way, Manny is dead. It's a terrible way to sort of see that character go out after I learned so much about his humanity and his characteristics in just this episode. Wish some of that would have fleshed out earlier. So it hits hard. I think it would have hit harder if I cared about Manny's earlier and if there weren't so many just weird inconsistencies with his character swings. I think I would have enjoyed, that's the wrong term. I would have accepted and sat in the sadness of his death more than me getting all this information in this episode. This also leads me to believe that Nader is sort of responsible for this, because I think he saw the nervous tics that Manny was having and realized that, oh, he's an addict. I think that's something I can lean on to get him where I need to get him. So then on the other side, Ray, the power triggers off, and then we enter what I would like to call one of Jigsaw's playrooms, basically. And Ray's in bed, the power goes off and flickers back on, and then there's nobody all of a sudden in the hospital. Like it's completely abandoned. Like Resident Evil just hit. There's blood, like streaks going around the corner. Apparently, everybody that exists in this world or in this hospital is on the take, and they decided to either leave or kill everybody. And it's like, all right, cool, we're just going to leave them here because this voice is going to come on and say things. It's utterly unbelievable. Like I thought the hospital sequence of when they pulled up to the hospital in the last episode with gunfire happening everywhere and people barely reacting was insane. This is effing insane. Like this is nuts. But Ray gets out of his bed and then a voice comes on and sort of does the Jigsaw, would you like to play a game? And tells him about his life. He's like, look, Ray, I have eyes on everybody that you love. And today's the day that you're going to have to make a choice. Which one of your people dies? And then we sort of see a montage of all the people kind of being swarmed upon. We see Son they try to attack him in his cell. Son's about that life. He got a shiv and he puts it to work, stabbing people in the eye. That boy ain't for play. We see Sherry making her way to the storage, and in the storage, Teresa's already there because she's called earlier to say, or Manny called her earlier to say, hey, I think it's about time you play that lotto. So the two of them are in the storage, probably going to have to divvy up that money. We see Michelle getting in a car. She gets a text. I think she's about to leave the courthouse, but she gets a text, and there's a car that's on her, like lights that are on her. But we soon see that she never actually makes it to that point. She ends up going back to the hospital where Ray is. It's because Ray's freaking out. He's grabbed a knife, or a makeshift knife, and it's like, come take me. If you want me, come take me. He's freaking out. The elevator opens and Michelle's there. He pushes Michelle into the elevator like, we got to go. It's at that point that Michelle relays the information that Manny is gone. And you could see that it affects him. He immediately says, like, stop talking. I don't want to hear anything. I just want silence right now. And then he has a panic attack. It's not labeled that. Nobody calls it that, but that's what it feels like he's having. He looks at the elevator going down by the slowness of it normally does, from 3 to 2 to 1. It's going down the normal levels, but he feels like, oh, it's dropping. That's sort of a metaphor for where he's at. It's like this elevator keeps falling and it's falling and everything is just falling. And he's basically feeling like he's in a bottomless pit that he cannot get out of. And that's how the episode ends, with him inside that elevator with Michelle. You can see that Michelle clearly does still have relationship feelings for him. And telling him that information she knew would break him. And so she also was saddened in that moment. It's, again, a really good emotional scene. But between Manny's dramatic stuff and his situation, how it resolves for him, and the Sherry piece of it all, and this button sort of bookending the utter insanity that happens in that hospital at the very end. A decent episode, a really solid penultimate episode. But I just feel like we could have gotten to this point 3 episodes ago. We could have told this story. We could have put a little bit more on the plate for Manny, so he doesn't just seem so scatterbrained. And I think the hospital sequence, had the voice done something similar before this point, where he cleared out a place, or he showed that everybody was on the take, or something to that effect, I think I would have maybe more accepted the utter insanity that a man cleared out an entire hospital. There's nobody there, but it is still allowed for Michelle to get up that elevator. Like that's what's mind-boggling to me. Like they're killing people. There's blood splatters this way. There's a doctor dead that way. Whoever protecting on this floor, but yet Michelle is still allowed to get up to that elevator. Nothing makes sense. And so I think that's my love-hate with this show. It doesn't know what genre it wants to be. If this was like Dark Matter and just completely science fiction, I'd be like, all right, cool, you've made the rules. I'll accept this. I'll buy into this. This started off where it was pretty serious. And now we've had this joyride candy cane type of situation happening this entire show. And it's just getting more and more ridiculous as it goes along. And I would say depending on whoever the big reveal is of who the head cartel person is that coming after them, none of it's going to make sense enough for me to buy into a lot of the things that happen in this show. And so, yes, I've crapped on the last few episodes of the show. This one's a lot better, but now it just posits more questions. And it also makes me angry that we didn't have some of these emotional stakes put in episodes that just felt like filler before. What did you guys think about this episode, the penultimate episode of Dope Thief? Go ahead and leave your thoughts and comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on X at HollywoodADI. You can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name. That's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere the place podcasts. We're there. And like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.